Hi, James here with Optical Mirror. Today I'm going to be showing you some of our favorite and very best optical mirror tools for cutting and cleaning on the market. First up, the safety equipment is crucial because when you're cutting glass, you've got to be careful for sharp edges. So what we use is the Maxi Flex. The advantage of these gloves, unlike ordinary glass gloves, which are used for glazing or gardening, these are much more flexible. So for a system like this, where it's precision, these are the ideal gloves to use. As you can see, they've got a durable coating, but in addition to that, offer incredible amounts of flexibility. What we've got here is a Morton system, the Morton Glassworks, and on a waffle grid. Now these pieces, they simply snap right into the grid. So the first thing you want to do is create a straight line with these pieces. As you can see, these things go right in between the grids. And then over here, you'll want one along the same line as the other piece, like so. And then this piece, that's the adjustable part that allows you to cut it to a certain length. So this thing also pops right up from the table and goes back in at the appropriate position. This is a first surface mirror, and typically on a first surface mirror, you want to cut on the laminate side. That way you get a clean cut. Now one of the ways you can measure it for your cut is actually to take a pen and draw a line, and then simply line up the line with your glass tool. Now one of the important things to keep in mind is that the glass score wheel actually has a bit of a gap between the head and the edge of the tool. So when you put it down, you've got to account for that. It's going to be, see how it's just a little bit of a distance from the straight edge. So you want to line that up, then pop this thing in and come out with it to the appropriate length. Screw it into the table. And this is especially useful if you're doing repetitive cuts, one after the other, because everything is set up for the cut. All you have to do is do one, measure it, make sure it's right, and then you can start doing them rapid fire. So to cut a first surface mirror, you want to hold the pen like this, so the longer angle, the longer edge is towards you. Angle the pen and lightly grasp the glass so it doesn't move. Start from the very edge of the glass, apply firm pressure until you hear a kind of like a glass scoring sound. See, that's what it sounds like if you do not hear the sound, which means simply apply additional pressure. Now you hear that glass-like sound, kind of like nails on a chalkboard. That means you're doing it correctly. So pop out your glass and use the running pliers to break the glass. And you want the running pliers, there's a line typically on it in the middle, and you want to line that up with the line on the glass to break it as so. And cutting through the laminate has its advantages because the laminate is still on there, yet you've cut through it. So that's highly useful. So the next step would be to make it safe. You simply want to sand the edges of the glass with a firm pressure. All the way around. Angling it at approximately a 45-degree angle. So you're putting a slight bevel on the glass, just taking that sharp edge away. It doesn't take too much to just remove the sharp edge. Now, one of the final steps would be to measure the glass and make sure it's within your cutting tolerance. A digital caliper is ideal for measuring the glass. you can simply turn it on, and after you turn it on, select inches or millimeters, zero it out, that calibrates it, then simply slide it until you measure the glass along there. And then you would simply do that the long ways as well to make sure it's within specifications. The final thing I'll show you is how to clean your glass. It's very important to use the right cleaner so you don't damage your glass. First of all, what I'd recommend for dust is a duster, because it won't actually cause any abrasion on the glass. So just to demonstrate, we can create some dust. Now, bad idea to clean this with any sort of wipe, because you'd be dragging that material straight across your optics, which would damage it. So, one thing not to do with a duster, don't angle it too much. In fact, you want to take the optics and hold that perpendicular. So that gets it pretty clean. The other thing that may cause your optics to get dirty is oil, which is quite common. You want to avoid fingerprints, but if you do leave some fingerprints on the glass, you can see what it looks like there, or it's especially noticeable on the front surface of the glass, on the mirror side, which I'm going to show you how to remove the laminate. Simply peel it back, and you see it gives you a nice pristine appearance under the laminate. But if you should actually accidentally cause like some fingerprints, it's very easy to clean. Just make sure you use an isopropyl alcohol, which comes in several different brands but equally good. Zeiss, that's a highly trusted brand, also known as lens cleaner, something you can find at a Walmart, a Myers, pretty much any store would have a lens cleaner in their eyeglasses section. Here's one that I found from Meyer called Optimist, which is equally good. So simply spray a bit on the surface. Next, you'll want to use a microfiber wipe, or more ideally the Kimtech wipes, which are disposable. The reason that's important is with a regular microfiber wipe, you'd have to actually clean it, throw in the laundry between uses. Otherwise, you could potentially be dragging dirt and other particles across the surface. So the fact these are disposable is important. So typically, you want to kind of rotate the wipe after each wipe so that you're not dragging the dirt back across. So you can see we have a nice pristine surface now. Finally, if you've installed your optics and you ever want to transport it or protect it for long-term storage, you can use something called Precoat 33, which is a special kind of spray paint, and it applies this blue laminate, a very similar blue laminate, to the surface. So you'd want to just lay your optics preferably in a well-ventilated area or outside, lay it down on the surface, and spray it from about 6 to 12 inches away, and get a nice coating on there, and then let it dry. And do that a minimum of 3 times, and that will create a laminate. And in the end, if you ever want to remove that laminate, it's not quite as easy to remove as a standard blue netto laminate. What you'd want to do is take some tape, and like Scotch tape, and simply lay it on the surface and then peel back the Scotch tape from the surface. All right, well that sums it up. This is James from Optical Mirror, hoping you have the most wonderful of glass cutting experiences.